So, Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler is probably up there as one of the best fights of this year. And this year has been a significant year. I mean, we saw everything that happened last weekend with the Glover Teixeira UFC 278, and you had great fights on there, like the Petr Yan versus Corey Sandhagen fight. But this fight might be the best fight of this year, and that's saying something because of how good this year has been for the UFC. So yeah, from my perspective, this has definitely lived up to the hype, and it was an absolute war. I mean, it was a war of attrition. The reason why I thought Justin Gaethje was going to win this fight was because of the fact that I feel like, to some extent, Justin Gaethje is just a bigger version of Michael Chandler to some extent. And don't get it twisted, they've got their own strengths and weaknesses, but they're essentially similar fighters. They're small, they're compact, they're power punchers, and they're fighters that are wrestlers predominantly that became strikers later on. And they're brutal fighters that like to bring it to their opponents, and they're brutal and they like to get into tear-ups. And that's why everyone was like raving about a fight between Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje, because they're essentially similar. But the fact is, Justin Gaethje's bigger. That's just the facts, right? Justin Gaethje's a bigger version of Michael Chandler. Don't get it twisted, Michael Chandler does certain things that Justin Gaethje probably doesn't do. Like, Justin Gaethje does throw more leg kicks, I'd say, and they're more lethal and brutal. But to some extent, they're very similar stylistically. So when they were going to fight, my thought always was that Justin Gaethje was going to win, just because he's the bigger guy. When you got two fighters that are similarly skilled, but one of them is bigger, it's more than likely that the bigger guy is going to win. It's just how it is, because that's just the laws of physics to some extent. It takes a very special fighter like a Pacquiao to beat fighters that are bigger than him, that are also skilled in some sense. But generally speaking, a fighter like Michael Chandler is a very, very, very good fighter. But going in there with Justin Gaethje is a special fighter. So in the first round, they were almost trading leather immediately, and they were throwing punches after punches, and they were landing. Obviously, Justin Gaethje came along with his trademark kicks and was lighting his legs up. But one thing I found very interesting was Michael Chandler was throwing loads of kicks as well. It was very vicious, the exchanges that they were throwing at each other. It was very back and forth, and they were going at it like there was no tomorrow. In the second round, Justin Gaethje landed an uppercut from hell, and it actually dropped Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler managed to actually survive the round, and it was actually quite impressive how he did it, because of the fact that it was very impressive to see the way he actually did it. The way he actually managed to survive it. He actually went in for a scramble, he went for a leg, and he managed to actually survive it. And then the last round was just an absolute war. But I feel like towards the end, Justin Gaethje kind of let him off the leash. I mean, he didn't completely go in for the kill. Maybe he was gassed, or maybe he just didn't have the wherewithal to do it, because it was such a brutal fight. But truth be told, for some reason he laid off it a bit. He didn't go for him, and I think he could have done if he really wanted to. He could have really went for him, but he just chose not to. For whatever reason, he just decided, you know what, just let's just leave it. And I think it might have been out of respect for just Michael Chandler. He might have thought, you know what, I'm just going to leave it, because it's we've already gave the fans an entertaining fight. Or maybe he was just tired. He was just like, you know what, I'm done. I just don't have the physical thing to actually put it on him anymore. But Michael Chandler just dropped his hands, and he kept coming forward, and he kept goading him to keep throwing punches, and it was quite fun to watch. It was very fun to watch. But yeah, it was one of the it was probably the fight of the night, and that's actually saying something. And I'm very surprised that the fight managed to go. It somehow managed to actually go 3 rounds. Like, I thought someone was going to get knocked out in the first round, but obviously that's not what happened. So yeah, from my perspective, it was definitely one of the best fights that I've actually seen in a very long time. I mean, them 3 rounds were definitely up there. I think the Yoel Romero versus Paulo Acosta fight is probably one of the best fights I've seen in MMA, and I think that it's somewhat near that level. I'm not saying it's exactly on that level, it's not, but it's somewhere near that level. Like, it's not quite there, but it's not too far off. So yeah, that's just my opinion on this particular fight. What's your opinion? Do you think it's already the UFC fight of the year? Do you think he's already, they've already solidified themselves on that position? Like they've already in that position where they've just made themselves already stand out in that way, or do you just think it's a foregone conclusion? Like there's still some argument to be made about what is the fight of the year, because both fights were incredible. So yeah, just my opinion. Tell me what you think below, and like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out.